Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Cats and kittens. MamaCatGamer is here live. Gotta make sure I'm being heard. Okay, that sounds good there. Gotta make sure I'm being heard over here. Yep, I'm being heard over there too. All right. Wait. Do that. Okay. Ah, you hear? Oh, thank you. My chief cat wrangler and sound engineer for today. We are working on, thanks to Slyfox here, we are working on our Discord server, and it's quite a adventure trying to get everything set up so that we can have a safe place for everybody. So, oh, we have an ad break in progress. Sorry, guys. I don't know. Is the ad break still going on? Or I turned it off. I want that set for like 1 hour. Because now that I made affiliate status, so now I have to have ads on here. So I set it so that it like does 3 minutes every hour. So that we can all go on bio breaks then, right? And, oh, you're sub so you don't see ads. Good. And so I will set it, for 3 minutes every hour so that we've got time to go do bio breaks or, you know, something more interesting than watching an ad, right? I don't want to game while we're doing ads. Okay. Let's, let me make sure we got everything set up. Oh, it shows up on my live stream. Isn't that cool? Okay. I wanted to post to one of these days. I'm working on figuring out how to get stuff to auto post to different socials, right? This is all a work in progress. I'm still learning all this stuff. It's like, whoa, I didn't realize how much there was. You know, you don't just turn on your camera and start streaming, right? As we go through Endwalker. The other thing is you may hear a little bit more noise than usual because I have to have my windows open. Our air conditioner is out. Thank God it's cool today because down here in the south in May, almost into June, it can get very warm very fast. And so we have the fans on in the house. We have the windows open right now because it's nice. It's coolish day for May for us. So I'm very happy about that. We're trying to see if it's the refrigerant that I can't talk today. So we're trying to see if it's the coolant that needs to be replaced. And if that doesn't work, we're going to have to buy a whole new one, which will be like $5 grand. It's like, oh my God. I have no idea where we're going to come up with that yet. We'll figure out a way. We always figure out a way. All right, let's get to the fun, right? We are hitting the books today. Gavtia is not my scholarly boy. That's Tyrius. Tyrius is my serious boy. Gavtia is my fun boy. That sounded a little weird, sorry. Yeah, it's a beautiful day out. We are so lucky to have a nice day. Let's go to Sharlayan. Somebody in RFC says I'm level 840. Oh, 84 Samurai. I thought it said 8:45 a.m. I misread that one. I'm gonna do one thing. Because I don't want to accidentally dox anybody. I gotta change my nameplates. I love seeing the nameplates that people have. Because some of the names are hilarious. Alright, we got that all set. Getting the books. We have to go to the Numenon. So we're going to go to the Studium and zip over from there. Such a pretty area. Elpis is one of my favorite areas. We're going to be hitting that in this expansion, and Old Sharlayan is one of my favorite areas. It's just so pretty. Ryle says, my directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of Numenon, Sharlayan's grandest collection of books and tomes. Gav is so excited about this. Yeah. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archives of Numenon extend deep beneath the surface like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the Great Google Library pale in comparison to Numenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Sharlayan is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched Y'shtola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Elise and Alfino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Sharlayan history or foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you, a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone benches over here once they've found some promising tomes. Happy reading! Yev's going, I think I'd rather, like, kill stuff. Read books in Numenon on the relevant subjects. 0 of 3. Some of these characters in here we're going to talk to because they're funny. Jajaba says, I'm assisting my colleague in his hunt for research materials, specifically a thesis by Moon Brita, but it's difficult to find one tome in a library of this size. What, do they not use the Dewey Decimal System? I'm dating myself with that one. He's still Swiss. Oh, were you looking for a specific volume? Only Archons may check out forbidden tomes. But if there is anything else you require, simply say the word. Brightly colored book. That sounds right up Gav's alley. The title on the spine reads The Story of Sharlayan. Read the book? Yes. Long, long ago on an island in the northern sea, there lived a Ruganan man by the name of Young Krep. Young Krep was a student of astrology, and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperiled realm. This is kind of a take on Noah's Ark, actually. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that Young Krep's crew hauled them aboard his ark, but the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel to pieces. With only moments to spare, young Krep wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship to safety atop Abalathia's spine. Oh, yeah, you know what? That's the ship we saw way back in Stormblood. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them, but it was not long before disputes over the dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, young Krep gathered to him his crew and his grateful passengers and abandoned the Ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast where they built a new ship intent upon returning to the northern seas. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon that very spot. That settlement prospered and grew, and in time it became the city of Sharlayan we live in to this day. Red-covered book. The title on the spine reads, Roads of Old, the Colony. Read the book. Many years ago, on the banks of the Thaliak in the Dravanian hinterlands, a Sharlayan colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumors spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Sharlayans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what had become a flourishing town as an official Sharlayan colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Sharlayan, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Sharlayan inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Idleshire. The following chapters go on to introduce the most prominent features of Idleshire. This book does not appear to contain additional information on the Forum or cover the history of the Sharlayan motherland in greater detail. Okay. Reference page. We apologize for the inconvenience, but the reference desk is currently experiencing an unusually high volume of requests. Please stand by until this issue is resolved. Okay. Can't use the Dewey Decimal System here. They're too busy. Granville. I'm rather in the middle of something, so if you wouldn't mind leaving me to my research, thank you. Well, isn't he an interesting dude? Leatherbound tome. The title on the spine reads, The Voice of a Growing City. Read the book. We have many leather-bound tomes. In the years which followed the founding of the Sharlayan, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays of vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 2001 of the 6th Astral Era, it was ultimately decreed that Sharlayan would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of a nationwide vote. Thus was the Forum as we know it today conceived and created. Okay. Still rifling through materials, are you? Unfortunately, I'm struggling to find just the right tome. Blue-covered book. Title on the spine reads, An Introduction to the Heavens. Read the book? Sure. Have you ever gazed at the skies above and contemplated the mysteries contained therein? I speak not of shifting cloud patterns, but of the vastness beyond, of the sun and the twinkling tapestry of the night. Some think the dome above us to be a finite space, yet among the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar's depiction of a boundless sea of stars has firmly taken root. Alas, this heavenly sea remains an unreachable, unknowable destination. There are few indeed who can explain in satisfactory detail why our own star is believed to revolve around the sun. It was the technologist of Alag who came closest to understanding the laws which govern that starry abyss. It was they who launched Dalamud and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. Having read of their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your interest in this field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you that the eternal constellations were arranged differently in the distant past, that their positions continue to shift almost imperceptibly but measurably as we journey into the future? Would it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? This book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details on the forum or mention the history of Sharlayan. Oh yeah, but that was fun to listen to anyway. They have little bits of lore in there. So even though it's not really advancing our quest, it's kind of fun. The title on the spine reads Forever 20 Summers. Read the book? Sure. My beloved seekers of knowledge, have you ever put learning before your health and neglected to feed and rest your body as you should? I too once engaged in such foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in philosophical study, I had an epiphany. For all the world's mysteries that drive us to reckless abandon, we have so very few years of life in which to achieve our goals. That's not wrong. Thus do I share with you this mantra, I am forever 20 summers long. That's like me. I'm forever 29. I just celebrate anniversaries of that birthday now. The number itself is unimportant. You could be 19 or 23 or 40. Whatever age you are when you discover this manual, let that be the age you aspire to remain. Through mindful, healthy living, will you extend the time available to spend upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp the greater truths you pursue. In the pages that follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physical condition from a biological, ethereological, and arcane viewpoint. This book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details on the forum or mention the history of Sharlayan. We're going to try and read all of them, because I think once you finish reading the third book, you can't read the other books again. Spine reads Stewards of Wisdom. Let's see. No Jalois. Sharlayan names are based loosely on French. I'm just here looking for some tomes I need to reference for my thesis. Luckily for me, if a tome exists, it's almost certainly somewhere in Numenon. How they did the names in Sharlayan was kind of... They took a French scholar, and they split the last name in two, and they made the first half of the last name the first name, and then they took the philosopher's first name and squashed it together with the second half of his real last name, and that's how they sort of made the names up. Oh, there's no more books down here, so okay. I'm betting that'll be our third one. Well, this looks kind of cool here. Makes me worry a little bit that we might fall through. Oh, check that out down there. Look how many levels there are. Like this place is huge. The faded title on the spine reads Stewards of Wisdom. Read the book? Yes. Said it correctly. How dare you? So people pronounce Idleshire either Idleshire or Idleshire, which is fine. You know, go with what you want. During the chaos of the Sixth Umbral Calamity, Archon Yemkref, founder of Sharlayan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Yeah. Hungry people will, starving hungry people will do just about anything to survive. And it can get very ugly. Upon raising a settlement on the island in the Northern Empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Sharlayans took to heart the words of their savior and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. On a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born from strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of expertise could be bartered for wealth in coin, and the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Sharlayan would live by their founders' teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew the tools of war and with knowledge deliver the world. You've gained a fundamental understanding of Sharlayan history and the foundation of the Forum. Head outside to the rendezvous point and await your companions. This is kind of important. And the more their wisdom spread to the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Sharlayan would live by their founders' teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew tools of war and with knowledge deliver the world. Okay. Just because they haven't agreed to join Eorzea in the battle doesn't mean they are not doing anything at all. Okay. They have a vested interest in, survival just as much as anybody else. It's just how they choose to pursue it can be different. Destination. Sorry, were you waiting long? Let me try that again. Elise says, sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure I'd borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Alfino and Cryo should also be along shortly. Raha says, I was delayed in similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks mentioned the final day specifically, so we have no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes, if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare and share our discoveries as we make them. Alize adds, it would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate. Plenty of comfortable places to read and a ready supply of hot tea. Raha says, oh, I was always quite fond of reading outside. But it's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. Alize says, it's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alfino and I were to return to Sharlayan, we were not to be allowed across the threshold. Oof, that's rough. Raha says, a harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position and that of the Forum will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. Elise says, we'll mend this rift one day. I'm certain of it. And what of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Graha says, well, my situation is also rather complicated. I was raised in Sharlayan, yes, but I was born rather further away. In the southern reaches of Ilsabard, in fact. For generations, my people have dwelt in Corvos, the coastal region opposite the island of Thavnair. The Allagans founded a city in that fertile land, and by ship brought in the subjugated tribes of the Mikote to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign. And then the Fifth Calamity froze the seas solid. Many of the tribes still living in and when the Fifth Calamity froze the seas solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose to remain, that they might prevent the remnants of Allagan technology from being misused. Elise says, isn't Corvos under Garlean rule? Graha says, for the past 50 years, yes, some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces, but Garlemald renamed the region Locus Aminus. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the nobles of House Darnus. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Allagan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allagan Eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales, and the decision was made to bury our ties to the knowledge and traditions of Allag. As the last child born with the Allagan Eye, I was given over to the custody of friends and the students of Baldessian, who had me registered as a Sharlayan citizen. Elise says, I never even considered. Forgive me, it was an unkind question. Graha says, even Thancred was taken in by Archon Louisois, was he not? Stories of adopted waifs and rescued orphans are more common among Sharlayans than you might think. Yet, regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient perspicacity. That's a word there. I mean, I know what it is, but it's quite a mouthful to say. And with sufficient perspicacity, we outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. 'Tis exactly why I have such love for this country, and why I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizens can be proud. Alize says, hear, hear, another good reason to get to the bottom of the Forum's stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into these books, Gav. More companies should be arriving any moment now. Alright, wait at the designated location again. See if this says anything. Alright, Elise and Graha first join you, and following a revealing discussion of their respective family situations, they settle down to study their borrowed books. Alfino and Kryl should both be along soon. Let's see if these guys have anything else to say. Elise said, there are others better suited to poring over old history books, so I thought I'd try my luck with more recent events. If I can find anything to better inform the Forum's baffling behavior. Raha says, what else do I know of Corvos? Precious little, I'm afraid. I've not returned there since Master Galuf first brought me here. I can tell you that Corvosi rebels still seek to slip the yoke of their imperial masters, though the fighting is far less fierce than it once was. Oh, and they have carpets. Flying carpets. The legends are quite extraordinary. Flying carpets. Alphinosis, we've returned with our selections. Although I must say the pickings were quite slim indeed, Mistress Kryl has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters, and more than a few which barely made mention of them. As such, we will be looking into research papers on the umbral calamities, as well as articles written by prominent Forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Kryl says, speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events of Amarat firsthand, and fear I may be overlooking critical details. Gav says, you can count on me. My thanks. Now, where to begin? First things first. What kind of phenomena did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? Complete destabilization of creation magics, primals of unrivaled power were summoned from the ether. The worst kind of phenomena you can imagine. I think he would go with primals of unrivaled power were summoned from the ether. Alphino says, I believe Hydaelyn and Zodiark were summoned after the final days had arrived. Quite deliberately, in fact. Seeing what was out there. Was seeing out what was out there to see if it was going to continue. Alphino says, if we are speaking of phenomenon caused by the final days, the chaos of creation magics run rampant in what first comes to mind, or is what first comes to mind. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. Kryle says, that more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation had survived until the present day, we might have had something substantial to analyze. To the best of our knowledge, however, these techniques were not preserved or passed on. Y'shtola surmises that the closest known magic is that of the summoning rituals promulgated by the Ascians. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? We could say the entire Scar was engulfed by disaster all at once. They say it began with a keening sound from the land itself. Alphino, you can answer this one. I believe it says they say it began with a keening sound from the land itself. Alphino says, yes, the Amarotines spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were into the midst of the madness. But it seems that each and every one of the catastrophes was preceded by this ominous noise. Eventually it resounded all across the star, and not even Amarat was spared. Kryle says, so the ground was crying out, you say? To be considered the harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I'll have to speak with one of Numenon's mammoths and ask after any books which made mention of such sound. Last but not least, would you describe how this ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive actions did they take? They summoned Zodiark. They summoned Hydaelyn, or they knocked Dalamud from the sky. Well, let's see what Alphino says when we say, they knocked Dalamud from the sky, which is patently not so. Alphino, surely you can't be serious. That was the 7th Umbral Calamity, hardly an event of the distant past. And even if Dalamud had existed at the time, bringing down a moon of any kind would surely only make things worse. The ancients summoned Zodiark in response to the final days. Many sacrificed themselves to bring him into being, with Elidibus serving as his heart. We do not know exactly how Zodiark brought salvation to the star, only that by his godlike will were the laws of nature set aright. Then, once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls they intended to render unto Zodiark, a, quote, trade, unquote, that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Venat and her fellows not manifested their opposition in the form of Hydaelyn. Kryle says, thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now in my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telophoroi truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. We've seen what they're doing with these towers of theirs. Is forcing people to summon primals a kind of catalyst? Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech, a convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash? But this is all just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let us return our attention to the forum, shall we? Alphino says, we should keep an eye out for Y'shtola, but 'tis time we began studying these research papers. Alright, let's see if Kryl has anything for us. It really is comforting to have all these dedicated assistants on hand. Right then, enough chatting, more reading. Alphino says, many forum members are also researchers or professors. If they know aught of the final days, then that knowledge must surface in their writing. That is my hope, anyway. Alright, do these two have anything new? Apparently not. Alright, let's go back to talk to our destination once more. As expected, Alphino and Kryl appear next, bearing their own armfuls of reading material. Kryl subjects you to a sudden interrogation regarding your experiences in Amarot, wishing you to compare your first-hand account with what she knows of the final days. Satisfied that her understanding is now equal to the rest of the Scions, she and Alphino focus on their reading, leaving you to keep an eye out for the final member of your research group. Y'shtola says, I'm the last, am I? Well, my extended search of the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urianger learned of the source's reflections from the Jerun oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, that tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away in the Great Google Library. 'Tis even less likely that knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, would be left sitting on the shelf for any curious scholar to find. It stands to reason that my colleagues, be they archons or counselors, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. Yet when you confronted Master Fortunal with knowledge of the Telophoroi and their machinations, he scoffed at this suggestion that they posed a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know if the final days were truly upon us, which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the Forum's behavior, it is being kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty. Whether they contain mention of the final days or no, these books could yet hold something of value. You weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. Gav's going, oh god, I've been roped into it. But Y'shtola has a point. I mean, how would they know that the final days were not upon them? Unless they had some other kind of knowledge. You labor for what feels like an age as Y'shtola's research assistant. They have anything new? I've found naught of interest so far. I think Y'shtola might be right about not getting our hopes up. Do you have anything else? He doesn't say anything. Your efforts to gain Grahatia's attention go unnoticed. He appears to be lost in his reading. Alize says, oh, she's so done with the reading. Y'shtola says, thank you for your help, but I think I can manage the rest without your assistance. If I were you, I'd steal a few quiet moments for myself. Gav's going, please, yes. Kryl says, oh dear, you look exhausted. But what about your studies? Were you able to find any books on the subjects I mentioned? Gav says, yep, Then the day was well spent. Should you wish to read them again, a mammoth at the reference desk will point you in the right direction. For the moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. We might be occupied with our research for quite some time. Oh, let me switch to Summoner. That way I can get the XP here. Let's put on a different glamour plate so I remember that I'm actually on the Summoner. That's good. That'll work for me. Does Kryl have anything new? Come here, Carbuncle. Oh, well, I did find one paper focused on the world before the advent of the first Umbral Calamity, but it reads more like a work of fanciful fiction than an actual academic supposition. Alize appears in desperate need of a study break. Yeah, Gav's right there with her. Ready for a tea break, Gav? I know I am. Honestly, my neck and shoulders are going to calcify if I don't stretch my legs and walk around a bit. You know the last stand down in the harbor, don't you? Come and meet me near the outside tables and I'll treat you to their coffee. It's quite good. All right. They have anything new? We can't use our mounts here at all. The soprano's voice is gorgeous. You're listening to the music like I do. And go over to the last stand. I just got a solo duty video up a couple days ago. Hope on the Waves. It's a Stormblood one. And I'm working on a starter video for Limsa Laminza for people who are just new to the game. So I'm hoping to have that done like maybe tomorrow or Friday. There's quite a bit. Alize says, as busy as ever, I see. How very Sharlayan that no other gourmet cafe has sprung up to compete for customers. Actually, this crowd gives me an idea. Before we place an order, why don't we ask a few questions and gauge the mood of the city? I'm interested to hear what the average citizen has to say about the Telophoroi. We might even learn something new. Worth a try, don't you think? Yeah, your next quest objective requires escorting. Learn more about this quest objective. You know, she has to come with us. And as long as we remain in the same area, she'll remain at our side. It's possible to ride mounts or swim while escorting NPCs. Please note, however, they will not appear at your side until you dismount or leave the water. You can also speak with them in these little conversation points. And you can either give them the option to part ways, or if you change areas, like if you get summoned, like are in queue for a duty roulette and the roulette pops for you, they'll leave your side. So if you do part ways with your MC, you can return to the starting point and speak with them to try again. So we would have to come like here. Rondier. It's probably something Pierre. What is it? Can a man not enjoy a moment of private respite? If you're looking to share a table, then I respectfully request that you look elsewhere. Alize says, Oh, you misunderstood, sir. We were simply wondering if you knew of the Telophoroi. These enemies of peace have promised an end to all we hold dear, and... He says, wait, you're that House Levailleur girl, aren't you? And this man with you is obviously a foreigner. I've heard you were disowned for helping outsiders indulge their barbaric whims, and here you are giving truth to the rumor. I'll thank you to leave me be. I've naught to say to the likes of you. Elise says, well, I must apologize. 'Twas foolish of me to expect an ounce of civility from one so enlightened. Come, Gav. Do you have anything else for us? Did I not make myself clear? Away with you and let me dine in peace. Ermenjar. My friends and I were just discussing the Maki and the practice of black magic. Did you know that... Wait, is it morning already? How long have we been sitting here? Akisa says, welcome, step right in. If you've placed in your order, find yourself a seat and we'll be along shortly. Isla. The Gazette featured a piece about a so-called champion of Eorzea. They say this barbaric hero has prevailed in a multitude of battles, like some avatar of perfected violence. And it's almost uncanny how closely you match the given description. What an odd coincidence. Oh, no. Our cover's about to be blown. Leonard, the statue of Thaliak has just passed the Stoa. I would advise against trying to see it from here, though. Oh, I would advise against trying to see it from here, though. Strain yourself too hard and you're like to fall into the water. I think we've gotten everything there. I am going to go pick up that blue quest way down there. Because I'm betting it's a ether current quest for us. I wonder what she has to say, worldly affairs. It seems you've already been approved for entry. Just try not to cause any trouble while you're here. Boga. The shape of the port keeps any larger ships from coming in, which means we have to use smaller vessels. Of course, this means more trips and time wasted unpacking and reloading. It's really quite a hassle. If you want to go back to, let's see, I'm betting this is to Limsa. No, let's not go back to Limsa. We don't want to do that. Babeth Ironheart. Beg pardon, good sir. I could scarce help but notice that sightseeing log on your person. You wouldn't happen to be the adventurer my niece wrote about, would you? Yeah. Ah, so it is you. Pleased to make your acquaintance. I am Babeth Ironheart, Milva's aunt and seasoned explorer. Be a dear and hand me that log of yours. Milva told me all about how she helped you embark on explorations of your own, so it's only right that I share with you some wisdom of my own. Let me see here. Oh, I can't forget to mention that. And done. You should be all set, dear. I've jotted down everything I've heard about the most remarkable vistas the realm has to offer. Of course, a few notes I've shared are not more than rumors, some describing locales so fantastical that I can barely believe they exist. But as I always say, the true joy of explanation lies not in the destination, but in the journey. So go forth, dear, and see what sort of journey these hints take you on. That sightseeing log of yours won't fill itself, you know. Alright. Endwalker entries have been added to your sightseeing log. You must be 80 or above to record Endwalker vistas, travel to the location indicated and fulfill the necessary conditions, and you will complete the entry for that vista, earning experience points in the process. Use your wits in the notes provided by Babeth to identify these stunning sights and the proper way to appreciate them, and see Thavnair, Sharlayan, and beyond as only the greatest explorers have seen them. Does she have anything else for us? Gazing out upon the ocean like this sets my adventurous spirits ablaze. Myriad wonders are simply waiting to be discovered. Why not venture forth and find them? That's really nice. There's a statue of Thavnair there. And then the whole view of Sharlayan is really quite pretty. Does Alize have anything for us? Fuck. Someone here at the cafe should be willing to speak with us. Let's ask around. Well, let's go back to there. I guess since I'm here at the summoning bell, I like to send my retainers out on the adventures. Because I think it only takes an hour, right, for this one. And you get loot. Molly Jivantal. I found myself passage to Sharlayan for trade negotiations, but I'm beginning to think I made a mistake. The merchants here are so stuffy and stubborn. I'd have been better off staying in Ulva. Fascinating. You simply must tell me more about your research. Miaya? You must try the Zurich. It's amazing. Best shared with a loved one, if you ask me. Ildoise? Yes? I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Excuse the interruption, but we were hoping you might share your thoughts on the Tlavnair and their unconscionable plans. My goodness, if it isn't the young Miss Levailleur. My apologies, but I work in the offices of the Forum, and if word reached Master Fortunal that I was helping you... Alize says, I see. We're sorry to have bothered you. Dickon. Welcome, sir. What can I offer you today? Wait, is that Mistress Alize I see there? My word, how long has it been? Alize says, far too long. Meet Dickon, the owner of The Last Stand. I used to frequent his cafe on occasion in between lessons at the studium. That seemed like an age ago now. I remember hearing that you and Master Alfino had set sail for Eorzea, but then you never came back. Lately there's been gossip about your father disowning the pair of you. Everything all right at home? No. It's complicated, and I hadn't expected complete strangers to be so familiar with our situation quite so quickly. Everyone has an opinion, it seems. Well, it is House Levailleur. No matter how discreet Master Fortunal may have been, news of your family's doings never stays secret for long. Things being what they are, what brings you back to the city now, of all times? Alize says, we have questions, and only Sharlayan has the answers. Tell me, Master Dickon, have you heard anything about an apocalypse called the Final Days? What, like the end of the world? Nothing like that, I'm afraid. And that's what you're here to find? Information on this apocalypse? Yes, whatever we can learn. Unfortunately, your patrons appear to be unwilling to speak with me. I wish there was more I could do to help. But maybe there is. You're a visitor to Sharlayan, aren't you? Then few will know your face. We should be able to pass you off as a server with none the wiser. We just finished preparing a few orders. Strike up some friendly conversation while you're setting down the food and you might just get the answers you're looking for. Alize says, not a bad idea. I hate to ask, but what do you think? You can count on me. That's the spirit. Pay attention now, and I'll explain where each of these dishes need to go. The tea set is for the chatty group sitting by the water's edge. The omelet is for one of our regulars, a Highlander by the name of Gisela. She's sitting at an outside table with a friend of hers. Behind them, you should see a Makote gentleman. He ordered the oven-baked lobster. Got all that? If you're not sure, just ask and I'll explain again. Good luck. Any troubles? Remember, the tea set goes to the group by the water. Omelets for Gisela. Highlander woman sitting outside with her friend. Last but not least, the famous lobster goes to the Makote man seated directly behind those two ladies. Oh, we have to... Okay. Cafe table. The oven-baked lobster. That's the Makote gentleman. Excuse me, I didn't order this. Where's my tea set? Okay. Clear away the dish. Give them the tea set. It said Makote gentleman, so, you know. My tea set. Lovely, thank you. The Talafa who? I'm sorry, I've never heard of them or their final days. My friends and I are somewhat uninformed when it comes to current events. Now, if you wanted to hear about the ritual arcane practices of the 6th Astral Era, common or esoteric, then I'd be happy to talk your ear off. Gisela gets the omelet. Ah, finally, 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's dig in. No time to waste. So the problem with having the windows open is I have allergies and some asthma. And so the allergies are nuts right now. So apologies on the coughing. Gisela says, what? The Talafaroi? Oh, yes, I remember seeing the name in the latest Gazette. That and some grand claim about the end of days. Same old senseless warmongering. When will these fools grow tired of spilling each other's blood? Stay out of it, I say. The Forum made the right choice, and I fully support our decision to remain neutral. Smitu Tia. Urbane banter and a smile. Let's see. He says. You don't need to butter me up, you know. I've already ordered one of the most expensive things on the menu. Gav looks so depressed. I gotta see that again. Oh. Oven-baked lobster. At last, the oven-baked lobster is mine. You have no idea how long I've scrimped and saved and suffered to afford this heavenly dish. The final days? This is the first I've heard of it. Although that would explain why my friend has been rushed off his feet. It must be a busy time to be a gleaner. Huh? You don't know what a gleaner is? They're collectors of a sort, travel the world procuring things that we haven't got here in Sharlayan. Priceless books, unusual live specimens, and so forth. So named for... I know, poor Gav. He looks so sad. So named for those folks who trail after the reapers in the fields, picking up every grain which was missed. Aye, by all accounts, gleaning is a most meticulous and demanding profession. If these Talafari make good on their audacious threats, then many uncatalogued rarities could be lost forever. Why else would the gleaners be buzzing about in such a frenzy? Watch the harbor and you'll see what I mean. They're carting loads in from the docks all day. It's never been this hectic before, not like this. Aha. So the gleaners are collecting all sorts of things. Do we have any conversation points here with her? I don't want to miss any of those because they usually have some interesting discussion. Nope. Okay. Any trouble with customers? Were you able to get anyone talking? Interesting. They seem unaware of the final days, aside from whatever vague news the gazettes are printing. Even Dickon had nothing to offer, and he's the best source of gossip in the city. If the Forum does have secret knowledge, then they've done an impressive job of ensuring no one whispers it in the wrong ear. In any case, thank you for playing the part so well. Here, that cup of coffee I promised. But let's enjoy our drinks somewhere else, shall we? Maybe behind the peristyle, away from the gossips and their wagging tongues. Does Dickon have anything else? I hope you and Mistress Alisaie got what you needed. She must be fond of you, eh? I've never known her to bring anyone to the cafe before. We gotta go behind them. Okay. Yes, this should do nicely. Out of the wind and out of sight.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Sharlayan? Grahas said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt.
That's because Master Fortunal was arguing with his own father, not his own children. And Fortunal doesn't strike me as someone who would have treated his father with contempt.
And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alphino, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been. How being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family.
Like father, like daughter?
If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently.
I don't think so.
They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos. A vast complex beneath the island. Sharlayan is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait! Didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners answer to the Forum. If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
Yeah, possibly. I forgot to put food on so I can get my 3% buff. A labyrinthine descent. Alize is excited to share your revelations. We should tell the others that what we've learned about the Gleaners. Go on ahead to the Numenon, and I'll join you in a moment. Master Dickon will want his cups back. Wonder what the Sharlayan tea is, or Sharlayan coffee is like. As a confirmed coffee drinker, I approve. Early song. If you couldn't tell, I'm quite busy taking stock of all this unloaded cargo. Should you need something, I'm afraid you'll have to wait. Many and more shipments left to place, so do return as soon as you are able. Speak with Kryl. Up at the Numenon. I don't know, is there anything sadder than a disappointed Mikote? It just looks so pathetic. Maybe a disappointed Lalafell. That coffee I smell. Did I miss the tea break? Yes, sadly you did. Where's Alize? I thought she was with you. Stola says, my loyal assistant returns. There is a lexicon on the first floor that I need you to... Oh. You've found something, haven't you? Welcome back, Gav. Been for a walk and cleared your head, have you? No, actually, I served as a waiter. Alice says, not exactly. We did some impromptu investigating and turned up information on the Gleaners. It makes sense. The Gleaners take their requests directly from institutions and bureaucrats, but as you say, they ultimately answer to the Forum. A sudden and significant increase in Gleaner traffic and in cargo. It certainly gives the impression of an overarching plan being put into motion. Alfino says, let us see what theory we can build from the facts. As Y'shtola observed earlier, Numenon's archives appear to contain no information concerning the final days. Coupled with what Gav and Alize learned at the last stand, we can be reasonably sure that most Sharlayans know nothing of that particular period of ancient history. Yet my father and his colleagues are not only familiar with the final days, but are also somehow certain that the destruction being perpetrated by the Telophoroi is wholly unlike these apocalyptic events. Moreover, the forum claims to be so occupied by a duty of such pressing importance that they saw fit to unanimously deny Eorzea's request for aid. And now the Gleaners, official agents of the state, have been mobilized on an unprecedented scale. Kyle says, I do not think it a stretch to conclude that the Gleaners' recent activities are in service to the forum's secretive ends. In which case, our next course of action seems obvious. We visit Labyrinthos and assess the situation for ourselves. And, if we're lucky, the Gleaners will be far more receptive to our questions. Say, a fine idea, and what should we expect down there? And anything would be better than burying my head in another dusty book. Kryl says, I understand not everyone is the studious type. Consider this a welcome change of pace, then. Yes, we do. Rahatia says, as for myself, there are a few more subjects I would like to research. I may join you later, but feel free to leave behind your borrowed books and be on your way. I'll see to it that each is returned to its proper place. Kryl says, that would be a great help. Thank you, Raha. Elisa says, let's head down the stairs over there and I'll show you where the entrance is. So your little bit of Makote trivia here. You notice Kryl said Raha instead of Graha. That implies she's such close friends with him that she's, she doesn't have to use the tribal honorific in front of his name. Raha says, watch your step in Labyrinthos. It's rather more perilous than a simple storehouse, although that will likely make the experience all the more attractive to an adventurer like you. Raha, you love the adventure too. All right, where are we going to go? Oh, we're going over in this direction. Beavis? There's somebody here named Beavis? Is there a butthead? Are you familiar with the Wandering Minstrel? The tales he spins never failed to engage and enthrall. What I wouldn't give to receive a masterclass in storytelling from the minstrel himself. We found Beavis. Alice says, ready? Labyrinthos is not too far from here, but you may find the path a bit disorienting. I'll lead the way, I'll take the lead, so stay close. Alize sets off at a brisk walk. Learn more about this quest objective via the icon. Speak with Alize and follow the lead. She's preoccupied. We're unable to interact. Okay. It's pleasant here amongst the trees. But we really should move along. And true to most escorts, they walk really slowly. Now we run. Try to keep up. Okay, yeah, alright. She really is running. Keep to the path, straight ahead. We cross this bridge. Over by Archon's design. Up here. Couldn't we have just taken the Ethernet? The restaurant, not far now. Oh, we're going in the back door. we are, through this door and down the stairs. You did remember to attune to the shard back there, didn't you? It'll make your life much easier if you need to come back in a hurry. Otherwise, we should keep moving. I don't think we can go through here. All right, and you can go inside here if you want. But she's showing you the, the back door. And this really is a quite pretty little area inside here. But let's go back. Mechtild. You knew it'll take me a while to check all of these, so you go on ahead. I see gleaners. Let's talk to the Chocobo Keep. The Chocobo Keep. It's a very nice Sharlayan scholar outfit. Well met, traveler. Might I interest you in a Chocobo Porter? Do not tell me this is your first visit. I haven't visited any of the places it can go yet. Okay. Sharlayan, welcome to the Hall of Artifice. Should you be looking to descend to Labyrinthos, the lift here will take you there. Elise says, you didn't take a wrong turn into the rostra there, did you? I doubt the forum will take kindly to you barging into a private session. Don't worry, they weren't in session. Alfino says, I've not been to Labyrinthos in the longest time. Even as a student, my visits were few and far between. Stola, how did the forum learn of the final days, and exactly how much do they know? More to the point, what do they intend to do about it? Hopefully the answer to hopefully the answer to at least one of these questions lies below. Kraus says, we're all here now, yes? I've taken the liberty of securing permission for our group's descent. Right, everyone, onto the lift and down we go.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge, buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing.
Gav's like blown out of the water. I mean, it is really a cool place.
But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then. Ugh. Did you call to me just now? No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent.
Probably not, but okay.
I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
Fine, probably not, but okay. Gav's going, Gav doesn't buy it. I believe there's an Ethernet shard around here. Oh, it's over that way. Okay. Laganthoda. Oh, a fresh face. That's a rare sight. How might I help you, newcomer? What do you do here? Simply put, my job here is to record and classify the Gleaner's acquisitions, but the work's anything but simple. We collect all manner of items here in Labyrinthos. Ancient scriptures, artifacts, rare specimens, you name it. Odds are we have it. And all of that needs to be inspected. What kind of place is this? This is Upper Akrinthos, Labyrinthos' primary storage facility for materials delivered via the lift. Here we identify and sort said deliveries before they're sent on to the Archeon or another facility for safekeeping. You might say we're a service entrance for Labyrinthos. Okay. Fimborg. Not looking forward to transporting all of this, but I am looking forward to a nice drink afterwards. Myandi. This is for Aporia. This is for Thamazane. Bino. Excuse me, are you a gleaner? If you don't mind, I have some questions to ask. Aaronville. You ought to help or give me more headaches? Because you don't have the look of a gleaner and I'm in no mood for idle chatter. One of my colleagues was so exhausted he took a tumble and crashed into a pile of crates. Now I have a pack of marmots running loose. You exchanged with Aaronville has taught you about exhausted gleaners. What else does he have? Those little devils are quick as sin and twice as hard to catch. I suppose I had better start searching. Nonolato, I only just started as a gleaner, so I don't mind handling menial chores. Any experience is good experience, right? I'll do whatever it takes so that one day they'll trust me with those veteran requests that take you all over the world. You got your junkmonger and mender. Tiev. Let me think. The Rhea seeds should be item 1058. Cumin seeds 1059. Snurfleberry 1060. Or were they 1061? My head feels like it's stuffed with moko grass. Why more loads to take out than carry in? Why do all this at once and risk mixing it up? What if someone mistakes the Kurthan carrots for the Girabanian carrots? What then? Tragedy. Your exchange with Tiev has taught you about large shipments coming in and out of Labyrinthos. Ishtola says, nay, I'm not shirking my duties. I've not been down here in an age and wished to get my bearings before I went bumbling about. From what I can see, however, there's not obviously out of place. It seems we should have to resort to discreet inquiries as usual. Master Record, the Path of Artifice. This massive lift is one of several which connects the surface of Old Sharlayan to the subterranean research and storage complex of Labyrinthos. At the end of its descent, the mechanism opens up onto the hub of Upper Acrinthos, from where passengers or cargo continue onwards towards other facilities. Brian says, most of those gathered here appear to be gleaners. Why don't you wander around and try making small talk? And all this is meant for, yes, Sharlayan Hamlet. Okay. Dobbin, you want to know what I'm doing? Hauling books and ore and fauna. If it needs hauling, I haul it. Every decade or so, they take stock in Labyrinthos. You know, sort and tidy up the inventory. Never seen an operation like this before, though. They just did one a few summers ago, even. Then, with no warning at all, this mess gets dropped in our laps. Orders from on high. Damned if I know the reason. Could be that they're changing the layout, eh? Preparing for the next big expansion? Your exchange with Dobbin has taught you about taking stock in Labyrinthos. Crassus, any luck, Gav? What tales did the gleaners have to tell? Taking stock, large shipments, exhausted gleaners. Get out of the way, Chocobo. So this grand operation began without warning, and for every item they bring in, they're sending more inventory somewhere else. That would explain the haggard faces I've been seeing. We were right. The Forum is definitely up to something, and they're turning Labyrinthos upside down in the process. My umbrella away. Ryle appears lost in thought. We would do well to learn more of what, specifically, the Gleaners are being tasked to do, as well as who has tasked them to do it. If you're game, Gav, I have an idea. Sure. Tell me. Oh, I missed that. Let me go back and read that. Didn't one of the Gleaners you questioned say something about escaped marmots? Perhaps if you were to help him capture said creatures, he might be inclined towards a more friendly and enlightening conversation. Yeah. In the meantime, I will turn my charms upon this Gleaner here. We can compare notes afterwards. Happy hunting. All right. I'm gonna go find some marmots. I have to speak with Aaronville. Aaronville actually has a big role in Dawn Trail. So we'll see more of him. You wish to help me find the marmots? I've nothing suitable to pay you for your services, but if you're offering out of the goodness of your heart, I'd welcome the assistance. Yep, I'm up for it. The name is Aaronville, friend, specialist in the collection of live specimens. That said, the capture of these Nangsian marmots is a trial I've no desire to repeat. Grizzled mice, they call them. For mercy, there are no other marmot species on this tier at present, so there should be no mistaking our little fugitives. If you happen to catch any, stuff them in this sack. Gently, of course. Or not. Where to begin, you wonder? I've not seen any scampering around here, so we'll need to widen our search into the surrounding forest. Be on your guard. There are beasts out there that won't hesitate to prey on a marmot. Or you. I'll search the trees to the west. The eastern part of the forest is all yours. Good luck. Alright, search for grizzled mice and defeat any enemies which appear. See if we can 302 yalms to the east. That's kind of cool. Thought it was sparkling to get my attention, but apparently not. I see something up here. Grizzled mouse. Come on, Cardinal, get out of the way. Chirp, squeak. Barely have you readied the sack when the grizzled mouse scampers off into the underbrush. $185 yalms to the east. I want to say it might be up here, but I could be wrong. Yep, here it is. $126 yalms to the southeast. That is going to put us in a different spot than we can reach. There's our grizzled mouse. Chirp. Squeak. Glorified rat catcher. Okay. Sturdy sack, supposedly large enough to hold one or more squirming marmots. Rodent nimbly evades your grasp before once more disappearing into the trees. Okay. Alright, back up. Oh, there he is. Target not in range. Come on. I hate it when it does that. Squeak, squeak. More prepared for its speed this time, you succeed in closing the sack over your elusive quarry. Deliver the squirming sack to Aaronville. Well, seeing as we're partway down here, I feel like unlocking that etherite if we can. Yes, its vaults here house almost any specimen or sample that one might imagine, yet there still exists much in the world that remains unfamiliar, uncatalogued. Thus does our vital work continue unabated. Shushu to be. Yes, can I help you? What do you do here? I'm an archivist at the Archaeon. I inspect all that is sent here to be stored and judge the threat they may pose. From cursed relics to disease-bearing creatures, we house some extremely hazardous materials. Such specimens must be kept securely sealed. What kind of place is this? This is the Archaeon, a structure built for the purpose of safely and securely housing all manner of specimens, both animate and inanimate. Together with the Literary Archive of Numenon, it houses much of Sharlayan's gathered wisdom, or knowledge, a veritable treasure trove of mankind's accumulated wisdom. Bragchin. The wild creatures that live in these parts were brought here from foreign lands far and near, but we did not simply release them and hope for the best. Nay, much thought has gone into building a uniquely viable ecosystem. I think I will make this one of my favorite destinations. We'll take Yedlamad off for the moment. Sorry, but we're closed. Okay. Aglifine. Small talk. I'm switching out materials that have been reclassified, but it seems some have been imbued with protective charms to prevent theft. I'll have to be careful. Nagali. Someone has been mixing different samples in the same drawers again. How are we meant to conduct effective research if people refuse to exercise proper cataloging protocol? I mean, let's keep our voices down in the archive, shall we? Archaeon Custodian. Only persons directly involved in the reorganization efforts are permitted access to the vaults at this time. Lift services have also been suspended. She said cats and beans, yeah. I apologize for any inconvenience and ask that you visit again after our restructuring operation is concluded. So they are busy bees. Our FC leader said, "Art thou not a bean?" And I said, "Verily, I am a legume." I wonder what he's going to say to that. How did you fare? I tracked down 3 of the pack, which leaves 1 unaccounted for. Squirming rat sack. Sack holds the plump, wriggling form of one greatly annoyed, grizzled mouse. Ah, there's the Ad Marmot out. Somebody replied, Gav's been spending too much time with you-know-who. My buddy Uriange. Wait here a moment while I put our friends in a holding cage. Thankfully, the marmots seem to be unharmed. They've held up well in isolation, but it's much too soon to release them into the habitat. It's a good thing we were able to recapture them so swiftly. You have my thanks. Who tasked you to capture them in the first place, or what will you do with the marmots now? Well, he's interested in what the marmots gonna happen. That's for the Forum to decide. They are the guiding authority behind Labyrinthos, after all, and this job was but one small part of this great inventory of theirs. Suitable for consumption and easy to breed. Those were the two conditions I was given for the stock I was instructed to procure. I don't know what the Forum has planned for these creatures, but at the very least, I doubt they'll be served for dinner today or tomorrow. There you are, Gav, says Alize. Kyle says, is this the gleaner you mentioned? The one who was looking for lost marmots? Interesting company you keep, friend. Who are you folk, anyway? There's some creatures I would block out, too, yes. I'm Kryle of the Students of Baldesion. These others are my associates. Truth be told, the Forum's decisions of late have not sat entirely well with us. That is why we made the descent into the Labyrinthos. We hoped that by seeing these decisions put into action, we might more fully understand the reasoning. Wise and practical. Never hurts to try and gain a broader perspective, does it? Anyway, duty calls. Other animals to capture and enclosures to empty. Once again, I am sorry I can't offer you more for your services. It was a marmot hunt, anyway. Krause says, did you learn anything new from our friend there? Yev says, yeah, we did. Krause says, so we've confirmed that the order for this ambitious operation did indeed come directly from the Forum. However, the Gleaners have not been informed of its purpose. I'd say that fits with everything we've heard thus far. Alfino says, we also discovered when the operation was begun. The Forum contacted the Gleaners Guild ship and put their people to this great work some 4 days after the Tlavnair made their chilling declaration. As seasoned travelers, the Gleaners keep abreast of news from every corner of the world out of necessity. Thus am I inclined to trust that their calendar of events is accurate. Stoll says, altogether, it gives the distinct impression that this undertaking was a sudden and unexpected development. Yet I find it hard to believe that such a comprehensive restructuring of Labyrinthos and its archives could have been planned in so brief a window. Nay, this plan was long in the making. They were but awaiting the right time to put it into effect. Alize says, and the Tlavnair's declaration was what set it all in motion? It seems likely, but let us not leap to conclusions just yet. For the moment, I suggest we conduct a wider investigation of Labyrinthos. The more facilities we visit, the more pieces of the puzzle we stand to find. Kryle says, in that case, how about we head to the Archeon? From there, we can reach the lower... Uh-oh. Alice says, Kryle, what's wrong? I'm fine, truly. The sudden descent has left me with a bit of a headache, that's all. Nothing that will stop me from soldiering on. Let's be about it, then. Alfino says, at least allow me to take the lead. I'm fairly certain I remember the way to the Archeon. We follow the path east, through the forest where you were chasing after the mouse. Or marmot, was it? Anyway, 'tis the trolls you need to watch out for. The marmot hunt. Checking to make sure we don't have any blue quests popping up here that we need to take care of. Okay, let's go back to the Archeon. Glad we unlocked that since we had to go back there anyway. Crosses, don't worry about me. I'm hale and healthy. In fact, I'm beginning to suspect that... Nay, let's discuss this later. The investigation demands our undivided attention. Elise says, were you caught in mist on your way here? The sprayers keep the air humid, so the habitat feels as close as possible to a natural forest. Let's try that again. Yushtol says, this is the foremost material archive in Sharlayan. I should love to explore its treasures shelf by shelf, but I fear we have little time for such indulgences. Elfino says, behold the Archeon. As Numenor serves as Sharlayan's literary archive, so does this structure house the city's wealth of material data. The architecture, too, is familiar. This building you see is merely the upper entrance, an access point to the vaults carved into the cliffside itself. Within those vast rooms are stored countless samples and specimens, as well as the detailed records which describe them. In a manner of speaking, the Archeon contains a physical history of Sharlayan's unwavering dedication to the accumulation of knowledge. Do they have anything new? No. Okay, just double checking. Elfino is gazing into the Archeon with an appraising look. Well, we won't learn anything of value standing out here. Let us proceed into the main building and speak with the custodian. Somebody asked what's the command for time played, and it's /playtime. Total playtime, 52 days, 20 hours, and 52 minutes. That's like all squashed together, not from the time you started. It's kind of scary to think I've had 52 days worth of time put into this. Greetings, we were here to peruse the Archeon's vaults. The custodian says, peruse? You're clearly not gleaners then. Might I ask your affiliation? Krauss says, we belong to the students of Baldessian, but is that relevant? I was given to believe that the vaults, those open to the public at least, were open to the public. Custodian says, ordinarily, yes, that would be the case. At present, however, access is restricted. Only persons directly involved in the reorganization efforts are permitted to enter. 195 days. Woo-hoo. We play a lot. I'll have to see what it is on Tyrius. Ishtola says, not us then. I suppose we had better move along to another facility. Krauss says, this building has a lift which connects to the middle tier, yes? Might we at least make use of that? Nope. That service has also been suspended, I'm afraid. For the time being, priority has been given over to the conveyance of inventory. Ellie says, what? So this is as far as we can go? Custodian says, I apologize for the inconvenience. Please come again after our restructuring operation is concluded. By that time, it'll be too late. And we were so close to getting answers. Ishtola says, we need to rethink our approach. Let us step outside for the moment, shall we? Custodian says, students of Baldessian. What do you bet that gets reported back to the forum? Elfino says, the forum must be wary of exposure indeed, to so heavily restrict the use of public institutions. Elise says, if they're going to close off facilities, then they ought to announce it. The students must be furious. Trial says, Labyrinthos is constructed in the shape of a mortar. This upper layer is called the outer circuit, and the medial circuit lies one tier below us. Oop, didn't mean to click her. Stola says, we are at an impasse. As we have no other leads, I should like to pursue this one further. But I doubt that our stone-faced custodian will be swayed by heartfelt pleas. We must seek other means to access the lower levels. It is likely that the people in this area are involved in the restructuring in one way or another. If we were to ingratiate ourselves, they might allow us to accompany them on the lift. Let us ask around. Surely someone is in need of a few strong backs to lighten the load. Oh, now we can unlock this gemstone trader. So let's do that. I could get Yakao Chuck, Luncheon Toadskin, and Burkanan Sap. Speak to people outside the Archeon. Bone Weary Worker. What's that? Take you down on the lift with me? Sorry, but not a chance. I've been up and down all day, and only now have I finally found a spare moment to rest. I did see a gleaner fellow heading out the gate, though. Shouldering a large pack engaged in some manner of task. Maybe he'll be headed down below after he's done with whatever it is he's doing. Let's go out that way, then. Or not. Little frog walking around here. My daughter will love that. She loves frogs. Am I taking the lift? Oh, no, we're just students. They won't let us into the Archeon, even though we found... Actually, we have no idea what it is we found. There's no record of such creature anywhere, but it was wandering around Tranquility, so we thought to donate it to the vault. Squeal, squeal. Oddest little squeal, don't you think? Anyway, I suppose we'll have to take care of it until the Archeon is open again. Bemused student. At first we thought it might have escaped from one of the research laboratories, and when we reported our find to the studium, they were just as dumbfounded as we were. If it truly is a newly discovered species, we could have our names appear in a gazette. Squeal, squeal, squeal. Oh, I just got a notification we got lightning in our area, so... Let me take a quick look at the weather. And a little bit of a thunderstorm maybe heading our way. But not too bad. We have been, like, super lucky with severe weather. Or unlucky if you're like me and love this kind of thing. Alright, search for the pack-bearing gleaner. Ah, they won't let me jump over there. I think he's over by the waterfall, if I remember right. Oh, there he is. Quiet, you'll frighten it away. Ah, it's you again. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm in the middle of another task. The cloudkin I need to capture is close. Very close. You wish to help me with this too? You spend your time in unusual ways, my friend. Still, 2 hunters are generally better than 1. Very well. The canal here is a common gathering spot for birds of all kinds, but the one I'm after today is the hornbill. Its feathers are green and its cry a distinctive caw. Single it out and shoot it with a sleeping dart. Uh-oh. The effects are short-lived, so I'll lie in wait down by the riverbank to claim our quarry. Be sure to hit the right one. Wait, what did he say it was? Feathers are green. Okay. Search your surroundings for the hornbill. You may move the camera as well as zoom in and out. Target the hornbill and use the blowgun with the mouse button. Cuckoo. There we go. That's the one. Yay! We succeeded. We're very happy.
A fair shot. Nicely done. Let me truss this one up and I'll make my way over to you.
There you are. Any new revelations?
So you met with that gleaner again, this time to capture a hornbill. I understand catching and bringing in creatures from the outside, but what's the point of chasing after ones already here?
Oh, it's a simple thing, really. Occasionally, we remove specimens no longer needed for study, or those we've had difficulty raising. But we can't simply turn them loose. Safely returning such creatures to their native habitats is another facet of a cleaner's duties. But not in this case, I'm afraid. I've been asked to bring the bird below.
The restricted section in the lower levels of Labyrinthos. Open only to a select few researchers hand-picked by the Forum. The projects down there are the subject of rumor and hearsay. Forbidden magics. Advanced technologies that can never be allowed to fall into outside hands. Even Archons are not privy to the truth. Those who are, the researchers involved in this secretive work, are not permitted to walk freely in the city, and are instead required to live in isolated quarters.
What could a facility subject to such strict security protocols possibly need with a hornbill? An experiment?
Possibly. I wasn't afforded an explanation. But judging by the requisition list given to me and my colleagues, I doubt it's for any kind of advanced research. I'd be more inclined to believe we were making preparations to migrate to the south. Mericidia or thereabouts.
What? Why would you say that?
Much of the flora and fauna we were asked to procure could serve as reliable sources of sustenance. They're comparatively hardy species, too, able to endure harsh climates. And among them are specimens known to be effective in improving soil quality and purifying water.
When you put it that way, migration does sound like a reasonable assumption.
That's all it is, though. An assumption. Through our tasks, we gleaners glimpse only bits and pieces of the Forum's plans. Our prime concern is that our requisitions, be they living or otherwise, are properly preserved for the knowledge of future generations. Now, I really must be going. I regret that I cannot reward you as you deserve.
Perhaps you might reward us after a fashion then. It is imperative that we reach the lower levels. And seeing as you are already set to descend with your assigned cargo, mayhap we could accompany you as your assistants.
I'm afraid that won't be possible. Once the animals have been prepared for transport, we send them down separately via the lift. I will of course follow after to make my report, but I can hardly pass you off as porters when there's nothing left to carry.
Indeed. Pray forget I said anything.
How do you feel about climbing? If you've strength and the courage to brave it, then there is another way down. This path leads to the 33rd facet, a mine shaft excavated during one of our expansions of Labyrinthos. While I cannot guarantee that the passage is safe to traverse, it should provide access to the medial circuit below.
I never even knew such a place existed. Thank you. This is the perfect solution.
You're quite welcome, but consider yourselves warned. If the going proves too treacherous, you'd do well to turn back. I bid you good day.
Well, turning back is hardly an option, not when we've come this far. Let's go and take a look at this mine shaft.
Hey, Jelly! And hello to everyone else who's joined us. Welcome aboard MamaCatGamer's channel. We are in the Endwalker expansion, and we finished there's two starting paths when you first start an expansion. We finished the Thavnairian branch last week. We're doing the Sharlayan branch this week. Probably we'll be doing Sharlayan branch next week because we're getting close to being done for today. Stola says, the medial circuit, which Aaronville mentioned, is the tier directly below us. Unlike the lowest level of Labyrinthos with its rigid security, one can usually roam the middle layer quite freely. Let us see what we might find. Kyle says, I never would have noticed this cave on my own. Thank the scholar that Aaronville knew of it, and that you were there to persuade him to share. Alize says, I took a quick peek inside, but it's awfully dark in there. Elfino says, this must be it, the entrance to the mine shaft. 'Tis faint, but I hear something moving within. Creatures homed there by the researchers, you think? Well, slavering beasts aside, we will need to watch our footing. We should tighten our straps and such before we continue. Do you have anything else for us? Man-made though it may be, this shaft was designed to resemble a natural cave system. Heed Anvil's warning and do step carefully. Alize seems eager to get underway. Yes, she is a woman of action. Assuming everyone's tightened their straps and checked their gear, then I say we head on in. Given the terrain ahead, though, it might be wise to leave some distance between us. We don't want to be stumbling over each other if it comes to a fight. Take it slow and don't forget to check your surroundings from time to time. We can meet up again at the other side of the tunnel. Alright, let's go on in. The 33rd facet. While we're here, let's see if we got another ether shard. Or not an ether shard, sorry. Ether current. It's like a little mushroom here. Mithril cap. That's kind of cute. Probably would eat your face, but it's kind of cute. $167 yalms to the southwest. Probably over here. Okay. Okay. $104 yalms to the northwest. Okay, I think I see where it's at. Oh, there it is. You can see it's over here. If you look at the map. Ishtola says that mine shaft was infested with mithril caps. Some sort of research project, I wonder. I suppose they are a most unusual creature. Why did they develop such long limbs when all they do is shuffle about narrow tunnels? No, that's an interesting question. Kryle says, I was being careful, I swear. The slope was steeper than I thought and I lost my footing for a moment, that's all. I'm not injured if you don't count my pride. Elise says, Cav, did you know Kryle almost took a tumble back there? She can't possibly still be dizzy from the lift. Oh.
What he did to my pillow?
She stole your pillow.
No, she moved it too.
Oh, wow, she did. Holy cow. My son is showing me a picture of our dog. She's laying on his pillow, but she had moved the pillow to be under her head. That's funny. Alfino says, everyone seems to have made it through without incident. Nothing of consequence, at least, and as promised, the tunnel has delivered us into the medial circuit. As I recall, this tier is where they keep a wide variety of samples for agriculture production. If Aaronville's assumption holds true, that specimens are being collected in preparation for a great migration, then we should see evidence of such plans in the area's research projects. Let's follow the path to the nearest farming facility and see what we see. My memories of this place are a touch hazy, but if we keep to the path heading north, then we should eventually arrive at a farm of some kind. Alright. What are these called? Genomos. Or Genomos. Kryle says, aha, now I know where we are. This is Marial Agronomics. Labyrinthos is host to a wide variety of vegetation which allows us to conduct studies on cultivation methods utilized in foreign lands. And it is this facility which coordinates and oversees those efforts. The fruits of their research go to feed their Labyrinthos colleagues, or so I hear. And he says, more notable successes might make it to the Agora. Foods so exotic you'd be hard-pressed to guess their origin, let alone how they might taste. Indeed, mystery vegetables without a name, only a list of nutritional benefits scribbled on a card. Alfino says, I see no gleaners hereabouts, yet those workers seem to share that same sense of urgency. 'Tis possible they know something of the forum's plans and their underlying motivations. Worth looking into, wouldn't you say? Yep. Alfino says, see what you can coax from the workers. The rest of us will do the same or cast about for useful clues. Eloise? The gourds we grow here are something of an agricultural wonder. We've crossbred varieties from all over the realm to create pumpkins that are sweet, sizable, and rich in nutrients. Imaniet. No two corners of the world cultivate the land in the same way. My research involves poring over the many texts gathered by the gleaners to produce something altogether greater than the sum of its parts. Alize says, I'm told this cart holds the harvest meant for the larders here. Nothing out of the ordinary. Jibkey. Oh, hello there. We weren't expecting visitors. Not with the use of the lift being restricted. How did you make it down here anyway? The mine shaft, you say? Well, you're a much hardier soul than I. Under normal circumstances, I'd reward such tenacity with a guided tour of the fields, but I'm afraid the forum has us filling order lists a mile long. Massive yet detailed requests, literal wagon loads of crop samples, and hardly any time to put them together. When I first heard of this grand reorganization, I assumed we would be shuffling around old stock to make room for the new. Then came the orders for ridiculous quantities of seeds we've already thoroughly researched. Passing strange, eh? I pressed for an explanation, and yet was met with vague assurances that all would be revealed in due course. Not the most satisfying answer. Minogia? Oh, it's not often you meet someone here who so obviously doesn't belong. Can I help you with something? Tell me about yourself. For now, at least, I am the second most important person in this facility. Now, you may think I am shirking my duties, but even at this very moment, I am envisioning how we can improve our methods. Gazing upon this watermill calms my heart and clears my mind of unnecessary thoughts, leaving room only for brilliant ideas. Even so, inspiration takes time, and today it seems to be slower in the coming than usual. What kind of place is this? Marial Agronomics is where the finest agriculture minds gather to research plant specimens from around the realm and the methods by which to cultivate them. The plants grown here are also used to feed the people working in Labyrinthos, straight from our fields to their tables, fresh as fresh can be. Alfido says, so you've spent years researching these high-yield cultivation techniques? Ruva Epocon. Of course, the light of the artificial sun is not so brilliant as the real one. However, it allows us to grow crops without having to worry about inclement weather or changing seasons, making the results of experimentation much more consistent. Overwhelmed labor. Do I have aught to be taken down below? More than I can carry, and then some. Most of our stock is sent off via the cargo lift, but some have been earmarked for aerial transport. Hence the stack of crates atop that hill over there. Gods, hauling a lot up that slope was a job and a half. Aerial transport? Shonkune. For many years, I have poured my energies into developing more bountiful crops. My life's goal is to produce a seed from which both a potato and tomato will grow. Ah, a man can dream. Not out of the realm of possibility, because tomatoes and potatoes are both in the same nightshade family. If you spot any nasty-looking Vilekin, come straight to me, understand? Sorry, I'm trying desperately not to cough into the mic because it's loud. Arbelois. I'm from the studium, here to gain practical knowledge on how to cultivate fungi. Being in the outdoors does have its advantages over those stuffy stacks of books. Don't you like mold? Arid Harvester. What crops are we raising? Well, as you can see, this one is a variety of grape. Only needs a good source of sunlight to grow, and the conditions there are nothing short of... And the conditions here are nothing short of perfect. Hardly surprising given that it's native to a particular locale in the very place upon which Labyrinthos was modeled, region in the south of Ilsabard. It boasts remarkable habitat diversity, allowing for myriad flora and fauna to thrive. Chilly peaks in the north give way to swaths of temperate plains, which in turn transitioned into a hot, humid coastline. Such bountiful territory is is ever contested, as you might expect. Used to be called Corvos before the Imperials renamed it Locus Aminus. The Forum saw it not as a prize, however, but as a researcher's ideal environment, one whose climates we strove to recreate within the confines of Labyrinthos. It's since provided a rich foundation for countless experiments and cultivation. Okay. Ishtola says, the stack of crates on the hill is going below. That sounds promising. I'll gather the others and join you there. We talked to everybody? Hang on a moment. Sorry, I had to, figure out what we were going to do for dinner. Turns out we have chicken breasts we have to use up tonight, so I think, I marinate them and grill them. I think hubby said he got a zucchini, so we might have grilled zucchini, too. Give me a good dinner. I might saute them, though. Alright, stack boxes. The labels on these crates tell the story of their contents. Bundles of common seeds and saplings accompanied by sheaves of reports.
Hard to look away, isn't it?
Yeah, I was looking at white flowers, man.
But they're more than pretty flowers. Heart blooms are attuned to ambient emotion. You don't seem convinced, but believe me, it's true. This ashen grey, for instance, it mirrors the anxiety and urgency of those working nearby as they rush to fulfill sudden orders. Intense feelings like those spur the petals to change colour. Bright glowing hues in the presence of joy, dark subdued shades for frustration or despair. Yet even with the collected wisdom of Sharlayan at our disposal, we've yet to identify the underlying principle of this empathic effect. and there are other mysteries besides. Although the flower is extraordinarily long-lived, its low reproductive rate has made it difficult to find younger populations growing in the wild. With too few sightings to map its distribution, and no closely related species to track, we've been unable to pinpoint its land of origin. To further complicate matters, every culture, even dimly aware of its existence, has given it a different name and mythos. Our attempts to study it via the historical record have been an exercise in frustration. As an avid botanist myself, I should one day like to unravel the Heartbloom's secrets. But I'm afraid other duties must take precedence. I will leave you to your thoughts.
Have you learned aught of interest? A flower that reacts to one's feelings? Strange. I must say, I have never heard of such a thing.
This is all very fascinating. But as it stands, we fail to gain any significant insight into the Forum's undertaking.
Indeed. While there is certainly enough activity to support Erenville's supposition that a priority has been placed on improving food production, unfortunately for our investigation, these workers were never informed as to how their duties serve the master plan.
If only we could interrogate the Forum members directly. Isn't that the entrance to the Archaeum? Look, there. I think that's Erenville.
A little difficult to tell from here, but I think you're right. He did say he was coming down to make his report.
Erenville receives his orders from the Forum. Would it not follow, then, that the superior to whom he reports is a Forum member, or at least a close associate?
You mean to eavesdrop on their conversation? What of the risks?
Ours alone to bear. We won't interfere with Erenville's work, nor will he be implicated as an accomplice. If you're not comfortable taking part, I can do this alone.
Nay. I said myself that I wished to know Father's intentions. And no answers will be forthcoming should we simply ask nicely.
We can apologize later, should it come to it. Right now, we need every crumb of information we can get our hands on. Consequences be damned.
I wouldn't expect Alfino to break the rules, my goodness. Charlie, if it's the fight I'm thinking of, once I get out of the cutscene here, we can talk about it.
It might be best if you came along as well. In fact, we should all...
Okay, Krau's still staring at the flowers.
Cryo?
Oh, yes. That certainly sounds like a plan.
They are pretty.
I'm glad you agree.
Y'shtol's a little concerned, but doesn't want to say anything.
Quickly! Erenville is on the move. We need to get closer before we lose him.
Almost. I can almost reach you.
Even Gav's concerned. Elise says, let's get after him already. We've waited too long as it is. Alfino says, it feels wrong to spy on Erenville, helpful as he's been, but what other choice do we have? Ryle says, forgive me, my attention has been elsewhere. We were following Erenville, weren't we? Is Cryle still feeling unwell? I've never seen her so distracted. Keep an eye on her, but keep moving too. We cannot let our quarry slip away. Did you see which way Erenville went? Elise is not about to let Erenville out of her sight. Erenville was headed westwards along the path outside the Archean. We could still catch him. Alright, let me, see if I can grab the aetheryte here. Because I don't want to have to climb down any more than I have to. Oh, it's all the way down there. I forgot. Let's see if we can go anywhere else. Don't think we can get down there from here. No, this is, I think, region locked. Or not region locked, I'm sorry. MSQ locked. Alright. Now, this quest I know is going to take a little bit of time, and it has quite a, I think, a cutscene associated with it. And unfortunately, I've got to get dinner going for the family. So we are going to leave it here for today. Let's get to our cat joke. All right. Cat joke for today. Where did the cat go after losing its tail? The retail store. The retail store. Yeah. Chelly, I will catch you on Discord. Okay. Anyway, so if you can help us out, you know, like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bells, all that. That helps the channels grow. I really appreciate you being here to support us. We're having a great time here. Saturday, we should be doing NUO Extreme again. Probably. I gotta check and see if the sign-up's up yet for it. And if not, we'll find some other high-end content to do. All right. Cats and kittens, MamaCatGamer is signing out. You have a great one.